And welcome back to the Digital Education Station, everyone. Pleased you are with us. I am Ryan Fran, the Chief Communications Officer for Arcadia Unified School District, and we are pleased to be joined with Dr. Wilson, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Service. Thanks for being here, Dr. Wilson.
Glad to be here today.
This is our 6th video strictly on personalized learning. Usually Dr. Van Alstall is in talking about personalized learning, but we thought we'd grab you today and talk about our meeting we had recently about the Rancho Lab School and our pilot program, our parent and student meeting, which was very well attended.
Absolutely.
And very exciting to see how many parents and students were interested. What did you think of it?
First of all, funny you mentioned that because, in this process of, as we're kind of moving towards this personalized learning environment, the one factor I could not wrap my head around controlling was like, would people actually be interested and show up for this meeting, right?
Yeah.
And so as the day approached, of course, we were communicating with the community and taking all the recommendations from our principals and getting the word out. And that night, I know we were all standing out there waiting, and then all of a sudden, it was amazing. A flood of vehicles started coming down the street, and students started arriving, and excited parents and kids, just wanting to know more about what's going to happen. So it was a really huge confirmation that the interest in personalized learning is just off the charts right now in Arcadia. So really, really exciting evening.
It was really cool because we had so many people. We needed an overflow room with streaming what you're talking one room into the other room. So it was a great
And I heard
turnout.
Despite the kind of hot room in the boardroom, everybody was hanging in and very interested in the content. So what a great evening for the school district, for our parents and our kids.
So for people that didn't get to come to the meeting that were invited and interested, we uploaded the meeting on our website, ausd.net. Go to the left-hand side, personalized learning. They can watch it there.
Right.
But just a brief recap of kind of some of the things you went over and what the pilot program will look like in January.
Well, we tried to give a brief sort of update on what is personalized learning? What is defined by a personalized learning environment? So, a little bit of interest in that. But what folks were there that evening for was to hear more about the Rancho Lab School. And so we spent the bulk of our time kind of describing what that program was going to look like. We had an opportunity for the folks who attended to meet our coaches, our coach teachers who are going to be leading that program. And we discussed a little bit about the physical changes they might experience in the environment within the classroom. It's going to look a little different than, say, our normal classrooms might look. And then also we gave them a view of what we think will look like the master schedule. And yet, what we had to stress was, while that master schedule kind of gives people a calmness to understand that we're just doing school, at the same time, that's going to be variable because this is about personalized learning. And really, our goal is to personalize that experience for every student we have in the lab school. So there was a lot of high interest, a lot of smiles. There was one point in the program where we had a view of some alternative furniture and what a classroom might look like, and I could see the kids almost jump out of their seats.
Did.
Man, they couldn't wait. They're thinking, man, if I could be sitting in that environment and learning what I want to learn at my pace, right, and having the agency to decide how and what and when I learn, that energy was amazing. We had a lot of good questions too, I thought.
So before we get into a couple of the good questions from the parents, just the basics. So it'll be starting in January with how many kids and from what grade level? Yeah,
so we're working with a platform developer called AltSchool. First of all, I want to stress that they are a partner in this venture, but this is really about personalized learning in Arcadia. Alt just happens to be our partner at this time, working with us on this platform, and it's a really amazing partnership that we have with them. And so, as we looked at what does it look to be on the platform, that was sort of the starting point and how that compares to what kids are doing now. And so it just sort of opened up a whole lot of different directions that we were going on that.
So it'll be about 30-ish seventh graders?
I think, we're not settled on a number. What we're aiming for is 30 to 35, because really the interest here is not so much in how the individual within this lab school interacts with the platform. It's really about, does this actually shift time for teachers to allow them to connect with students more effectively? So what the data we need on that to bring out of this pilot is, what does it look like in a 33 to 35 to 1 environment? Because right now the platform has really only been used in settings where either there were multiple teachers or there was smaller class sizes. And so there's a huge interest on our part to say, okay, if this platform does shift what a teacher does, and I think those time shifts have to do with how they deal with logins and student data and access to content, along with how students produce evidence and present that evidence to their teacher of learning. These are kind of the components that are going to help us, we believe, shift the time of what a teacher does in the classroom every day. And so that's going to be an interesting piece for us to study. So at the beginning of this project, we're going to have kind of a all hands on deck approach to this. A lot of intensive interaction between our coach teachers and the students, and then gathering that data and what that looks like. But as we move into the pilot time, we're going to begin to withdraw some of that teacher time till we get to a point where it's a 33-to-1 environment, and then we can say, does this work effectively? Are there issues we need to deal with along the way? And what are the gaps in that program? So it's really an interesting pilot. The good news for the kids is they're going to be taught by, as we know, our instructional coaches who are fabulous teachers, and they're going to get a lot of really 1-to-4 mentoring. So we're starting from a position of making sure our kids don't fail, that they're at least prepared for the next grade level, if not over-prepared for the next grade level. So we have a really strong commitment to deliver that 1/13 of the education every kid, and everybody's really excited to get going on this.
So when we start in January, as you said, we're going to get down to maybe one teacher in there at the end, but they're going to have 6 teachers and coaches with them starting, and then we'll
actually the faculty consists of nine total teachers, and they're going to be used in different ways. I mean, we have teachers who are going to be developing English language arts and history content, science and mathematics content. We're going to have one of our instructional coaches who's going to become sort of the expert on the playlist, which if you think about Amazon Prime or Spotify, we all have playlists on our phones. Within this platform, students will have playlists of activities and assignments that teachers push out to them. So one of our coaches, Renee Costarella, is going to be sort of our expert on the playlist. We're going to have another coach who's going to be expert on the share component, which share has to do with how do we take what we've done, the evidence of our learning, and share it with our teacher, share it with our peers, and share it with our parents. So I believe Lucretia Anton is actually going to become sort of that expert on that piece. And then a third is called progression or assessments and goals. Lori Felipa is really going to concentrate on that area. So then the other, while they'll still be teaching, but the other ones will be more concentrating on the content development and what does pedagogy look like as we move ahead. And then of course we have Coach Pollocky is going to be our PE coach.
Awesome.
And we're going to be looking for really inventive ways of bringing in folks from the community and outside expertise to help us with some elective modules along the way as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Great questions from some of the parents too. One of which was, so if my kid is in 7th grade, they really like this program, are they definitely going back to First Avenue or their middle school when it's said and done? What if they really like it?
Well, unfortunately, I can't give you a definitive answer on that right now, but let me tell you that our intention is this, that as these students spend their 2nd semester here with us in 7th grade, that it's going to be such an amazing pilot, such an amazing process that they're going to demand to be back here in 8th grade. It's an interesting question. We will actually study the data as we move through the semester to see how that's working. I anticipate offering the program to the same kids moving into 8th grade next year. And then we'll have to think through as a district leadership team, what does that pilot look like moving forward? So right now, our intention is those 7th graders would complete their year here, that they'd want to be back next year, and that we'd offer an 8th grade version of this next year as well.
Okay. Another good question was, and I think it's a common misconception among personalized learning, is the fact that, okay, my student Sally, she has options about how she's going to do this book report.
Yeah.
If she doesn't want to give an oral report in front of the class, she doesn't have to come up and do public speaking. But is that the case where a student can say, I want to do it this way, I'm more comfortable this way, and I never have to do it that way?
So I think that was a really good question. I think one of the fathers asked that the other night in a way. But no, we are committed to offering a comprehensive education. So that idea of the 1/13th, right? Every grade level we're responsible for delivering a comprehensive education. Really, when it gets down to student agency, it's not this idea that students simply decide what they will do and won't do. It's really offering multiple options within the context of those units of study, but making sure we satisfy all the different components of it. So one of those would be student voice, right? The idea, how can I articulate my learning? There may be multiple ways to do that within that. That's the agency piece. And as we develop the content, the goal is, as you get the data and you see what kind of learner I have, so one of the pieces we're going to do is start with strengths, find out what the student's strengths are. So teachers will try to link content with strengths, right? So if a student is more of a natural public speaker, the content pushed out to that student might be slightly different than the student who might be more reserved. There might be a different way to give that student voice.
Gotcha.
But we are absolutely committed to really, offering beyond what students have access to right now with regards to that comprehensive education.
Dr.
All
Wilson,
right,
we
you bet.
appreciate the
Welcome.
information. For more information on personalized learning or to watch the 5 previous videos of this, check out our website, ausd.net.
All right, thanks.